I can't believe it. We are literally almost to the end of 2025. Time has flown by. I say that all the time. But no matter what, we're always in for a good conversation here on Bar Conversations. I'm your host, Jonathan Green. We have a fun guest coming up for you here in a second, but don't forget to follow us on all the social media at Hop Spirits or HS Bar Convo on most of them as well. To just follow the podcast if you want to do that. Our guest, though, I'm excited for this one because he's got a cool story, making some good music. He's an indie folk artist, is kind of what he says, but I think he just makes good music. His latest EP, A Crater Wide, is out now. Let's welcome in Hunter Metz.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, you got a lot going on in life, and I'm excited to dive into that here in a little bit. But this is Bar Conversation, so I got to ask, what's your go-to drink, or what are you drinking tonight?
Oh man, an old fashioned is a go-to, or like a red wine is a really nice pairing, you know. Tonight I'm doing a tea. We just got off tour, and I feel like I drank way too much, so I'm trying to tone it down. Uh,
You're in recovery mode now.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I like that. I like that. Well, now, I love the old fashioned. So that's the cocktail of choice. Now, you said red wine. There's a lot of red wines out there. So you like Cab Sauv,
I'm
Malbec.
not
Where are you
picky.
at it?
I'm not picky. Maybe a little like, yeah, yeah, Cabernet. I don't know.
Red wine and it's good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So when you're out on tour or and when you get to travel, like, are you one that likes to go when you can, obviously, hit up a local spot and try like their local winery or something like that, or what's your kind of go-to move when you're traveling?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like too a really fun one is kind of like on the rider for shows. It's kind of like whatever, I don't like pick one type of beer, right? It's like whatever local, whatever the recommended, whatever's interesting, just to kind of like mix it up and try new things. Yeah, that's what I like to do.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Now, you are a true Nashville native. I have learned that there are more of you than I thought. Or at least your generation, our generation is there are more of that. From just outside of Franklin. I got to ask, what's something you love about Nashville or the metro area that isn't standard? The go-to touristy spots.
Oh, nice. I mean, like I love East Nashville as a whole. I think like that scene musically and then too just like the food, the cuisine, honestly like the diversity, just everything. It kind of like encapsulates like a different Nashville than downtown.
I love that. Now, is that where is East Nashville where Dee's Lounge is? Is that where that's at?
Probably. It's got all
Okay.
the really cool like dives or like there's like some jazz clubs like people like jamming all the time, that kind of thing. It's
So
really
that's
cool.
where the musicians actually go and hang out.
I think so. Yeah, mostly.
Well, and you grew up in a musical family as well. That's how you became a true, Nashvilleian. What was it like to have both of your parents move there? I assume met there as well to pursue their own music dreams.
Yeah, I think at my age, I think I can like look back and kind of appreciate it, right? But at the time, I think it like was maybe confusing or frustrating. So they moved from my dad is from, small town Mississippi and my mother's from a small town in Corpus Christi, Texas. And they moved to Nashville a little bit later in life and then it never like caught fire, And so for me I think it confused me because they were very talented, right? But it never it never worked. I never saw the benefit to pursuing music. It was like it came with a lot of like negative ties to it. And so I think while it was around me all the time, and I think I'm fortunate that it was looking back, I think, for a long time I was frustrated by the music industry or the creative industry as a whole. Yeah.
I was going to say, as for all the successes out there, there are many that the stars just don't align
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
one reason or another. And what was it like though, growing up in a musical family? So clearly, music was around you a lot.
Yes, totally. I mean, I can remember like there's a photo of me, as a kid or baby, and I'm like draped around, the guitar while my dad's playing it, right? And so, it's the guitar on the wall, it's the piano right when you walk in the house. It's, they get off work and they'll play and I'll sing song, and like, or, they both come from a very Southern Baptist background. So it's like open the hymnal and like play the music on the sheet. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. And so it was always around. And I think that, as time moves on, continues to like inspire me in different ways, or like I'm more appreciative of it, as I am further away from it.
Well, and like you said, because of what you saw growing up, while you had that love of music, you also saw the harder side of things. So you didn't exactly go down the route of musician at first. You went into software development. I mean, were you trying to go as far away from it as you possibly could?
No, truly, like my parents, I mean, they kind of went through it. Yeah, I like there was a brief time where I lived with my grandmother. Like I didn't know if they were going to stay together. My dad moved to Kentucky. Um, and it was all somehow tied to like chasing this dream that didn't, pan out. And yeah, I was frustrated. I didn't understand that, and I didn't want that to be like my life or my future. And so, yeah, straight after high school, I didn't have a high school summer break. I went straight into coding school. Literally, it's called Nashville Software School, and it's almost like a trade school for software. And yeah, I did that, and then I worked in Hendersonville, which is about 30, 45 minutes northeast of Nashville for 2 years. And then, yeah, I mean, I just found myself not being able to work just because I was making music all the time. And yeah, yeah, full circle. But yeah, say I was in the same place that I started, right? So,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, what kept drawing you back to music? Because, like you said, you were still kind of doing different things in the music realm.
yeah,
Like you couldn't get rid of that bug, so to speak. So, what was it like? What drew you back to like wanting to give it a shot?
yeah. I think just I had a hard time maybe believing in myself, and believing that good things could happen to me after maybe seeing so many negative things happen to someone else. Um, but then it just like the love for making music and storytelling and even down to the collaboration or the production of it. It's just like every element of it was worth the risk, I think. And it was worth. It just got to the point where it was worth the risk. Like I'd rather move home and try this. I'd rather, you know, make no money and try this. I'd rather fill in the blank and have the opportunity to try this. And yeah, that feeling just kind of like overtook or kind of trumped everything else.
Well, and you're at a young enough age where in a sense, if there's a time, now is
Yeah,
the time, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, and you talk about like growing up around music as well from your parents, but your grandmother's piano is what you started playing on as well. What was it like to start on the piano and play that bad boy?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I still own that piano. She gave that piano to me. It's downstairs in my house, Um, and yeah, same thing. I mean, she was more like like music reading, that kind of musicality. Yeah, it's just all around. It was all around me, and it's still a beautiful thing too because um, like family events are extra sweet, because we can talk about music and relate to each other. And, like my grandma, she'll still send me like song title ideas, and it's just like, thank you so much. I'm not sure what to do with this, but thank you. And so it's like now it's such a sweet experience. It's turned into something like really special and something we can connect, like we can connect with each other through music still to this day.
Well, I was
From
gonna say,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I mean, because when you get family gatherings, like you can actually, belt out, hit the piano and everyone can sing, and you guys can actually carry a tune, whereas I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
chasing everyone off.
No, I'm sure it's great.
But I mean, to have, like you said, your grandmother sending you, song titles, things like that. I
Yeah.
mean, like, how cool is that? Because not everyone maybe has that, the musicality is not there. They might be the one person that it's give 10 generations and found
Yeah.
them again to
Yeah.
sing.
Yeah, no, it's a special thing, and I think I definitely don't take it for granted, you know, not at all.
Now, because of all the different things, your grandmother had the piano,
Yeah.
playing just kind of regular music. Your parents were into to music as well. What music did you grow up on and had an impact on you?
A lot of bluegrass, and at the time it like really was not very popular. I think right now it's like a beautiful climate for a lot of, genres, and I think that's amazing. But at the time, I mean, it was your like like Rascal Flats. That was kind of the music, or Lone Star from the 90s, like country, like that was what was working, you know? But what was played was, a lot of bluegrass, a lot of gospel music. My dad like loved the Eagles, that kind of thing, and like I don't know, yeah, the band, or like all those influences, which I love to this day. So yeah, a lot of classic folk, classic rock, and then bluegrass.
Now, as you got older and could pick your own music, what did you end up leaning into?
Yeah, I mean, I loved as like a younger kid growing up. I loved Coldplay. Like I remember those were the songs I would like look up how to play on piano. Right? Was a lot of that Parachutes Coldplay record was pretty formative, and then as I like got into my teenage years, it was like the Paper Kites, Fleet Foxes, Ben Howard. Like I can still remember where I was when I heard those songs for the first time, right? And that music really transformed my perspective, where it's like, oh, you can make music like this and play a show, and people will show up. Um, yeah, I think those, that whole, I guess, like world of music really had a big impact on me.
Well, I was going to say you had a lot to pull from. I also forgot at the very beginning. I forgot to tell everyone what I was having, a little three-chord hard pressed Tennessee whiskey, because you're actually from there, so it just made sense. Now, um, you're trying to figure out this music thing. Whether you should go for it, where life's taking you.
Yeah.
What made you decide to then try out for American Idol?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I kind of goes back to that belief in myself. And as crazy as it like sounds, I think my take on that or perspective was this show, like other people are gonna decide if they like me or not. A producer for a show is gonna tell me if I'm good enough, right? And looking back, that is such a horrible approach. But
So
in
you
the
do not
moment,
recommend that for anyone.
no, absolutely not. I don't. I really don't. And looking back, it is, yeah, it's kind of sad where it's like I need the approval of a production person at ABC Network to tell me, if I should try, yeah, keep doing music. Um, and it's a part of my story, and I'm thankful for it in some ways and resent it in other ways, right? But yeah, I think that's what led me to it was the need to for someone to tell me if I should try this or not.
Well, and they did, and you did pretty well, I
Yeah.
would say. You got into the top 10, made it to pretty well into the show.
Yeah.
What was the whole experience like? Because I know talking to folks, some of them have absolutely loved their experiences on those shows. Some, if nothing else, at least they learned a lot about themselves. Maybe they made some good connections. So, what was
Yeah.
it like for you on the show?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think it's such a loaded question. I think, you know, it's one big first impression, through the eyes of through the lens of whatever they want to show.
Hmm.
And so it's beneficial in some ways because exposure is exposure. Um, but wrong it's tough to know what moves the needle. Um, and yeah, I think I did learn a lot about myself. And but now it's creating that separation between, cover singer, karaoke singer, entertainer, and artist. Which that that's a tough bridge, to cross in some regard. Really creating the separation between those two things and just creating the separation between that time period in my life and then who I am and what I have to say now.
I was gonna say you've grown up a lot. You've kind of found your sound since then, and a lot has changed. And I think that's what I love about your journey is you took that moment, you did what you could with it, and you made it work, and you ran with it. You released your first single in 2021 called the River,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I said earlier, you kind of were doing the two things, and you started working with your dad doing mold remediation. What was that like balancing those two things?
Well, I tell this story on tour, like that kind of time period of making those songs, because there were a few kind of in that um, time in my life that I still love performing, right? And then I still have like an emotional attachment to. And yeah, he was living in Kentucky at the time. I was living with my mom in Nashville. And I would do 2 weeks in Kentucky with him doing fire, water, and mold remediation. So if you had like a house fire, we would come in and we'd tear everything out, clean everything, get it ready for a remodel. And then, they would come and remodel it. And then, yeah, if you had, mold in your crawl space, we were full Tyvek suit, under crawl spaces, fixing them, removing the mold, treating the mold, right? And then like resealing the crawl space. Same thing for flood. So if you had like a flood, right? It's like the fans, you're sucking the water out of the basement, dehumidifiers, the whole thing. And I would drive every 2 weeks up there. I'd work with him for 2 weeks on all the jobs. And then I'd drive back for 2 weeks and I'd work on music. And yeah, that was a tough one to crack too. Like I was just frustrated at my situation. So much of it is a rock up a hill, right? And it all feels like a means to an end, like a never-ending loop, you know, just to kind of take a stab at it. But yeah, that was, I guess, I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to split time like that. Like not many people get that opportunity, so I'm thankful for it. But yeah, at the same time, it was definitely an experience.
Well, because I think I was reading one of the conversations you had where, like, that was really, music was obviously plan A, but you're doing plan B, and if you're not careful, plan B becomes plan A. So I'm assuming you had that aha moment where you're like, no, I got to stop doing this, and now I got to actually go full time into music. What was that, like, aha moment? Or was it just kind of a series of events where you're like, now's the time?
I think I feel like the music was getting more consistent. I felt like I had more to say. I felt like I was meeting people and, you know, starting to play shows, and it just that ball started rolling just a little bit, and that was enough to kind of just take the step. Um, yeah, take the step.
Well, and
It's
it worked out.
momentum, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I mean it's a scary step too because, like you said, there's momentum there, but you're still, going. You're at the beginning stages of a journey. So, I mean, was there ever any worry about it, or was it like, no, I got to do it?
Well, so the first I moved out of my parents' house, right? And the first month I moved out, so you got Pro Tools, right? Like your what you record music, the software that you record music in. The first month I moved out, my bank account overdrafted because my Pro Tools subscription renewed. And immediately I was like, what am I doing? Like this was the worst mistake, like the first month. And I paid the deposit, and Yeah, yeah. And so yes, there have been a few moments where it's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Yeah, yeah. Even now, it's high highs and low lows.
Well, the music industry can be a tough
Yeah,
path to go down, but you've had success. Your breakout single "Weathervane,"
yeah.
which was released a little over a year ago from when we're talking, has amassed millions of streams globally, landed on viral charts, and you really created that song with no expectations. So, what was it like to set that free and then see it just take off?
That was yeah, honestly pretty liberating because prior to that, I had been producing everything myself, and a lot of times the music it wasn't directly tied to real stories or experiences. And then too, even sonically, it was maybe more of what I thought was cool or a trend, right? Versus like something that was true to me and maybe more timeless. And that was the first one from this project that felt just like exactly what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it. And then to see it connect, right? It just gives you such almost like a motivation to keep doing that. Whatever that means. If it's it doesn't have to always be positive. Well, that's a positive song, you know. There are gonna be there's gonna be a lot of hardship too, but just to press into whatever's really like happening around you, and just kind of tell your story because everybody's got this unique perspective, and so it's kind of like when I really tried to go there, that and to see it connect was like a really liberating thing.
I was going to say, I mean, it took off, and I'm guessing that, like you said, that had to be reaffirming that you're on the right track of what you wanted to do. I also know you tend to get into some personal matters with your song. One that took a little while to kind of put together, I think over 2 years to feel ready to write it from a place of quote, peace and pure intention was somehow you're always there.
Yeah.
How powerful was that one? Because I know that one was a tribute to your best friend's mom who had passed away during
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was tough. Because with music and art being an opinion and so subjective, it's tough to open up about those like super personal things as well. Because if it, you know, sadly, like this number of streams you know, dictates your career and success, right? Even when something can mean so much to you. Um, but yeah, the last thing I wanted to do was go through that with him, because I remember going over to her house and like staying it was like a second mother, and to use that for any sort of like, I guess, clickbait or attention or fill in the blank. It just felt like so wrong, honestly. It didn't feel like real. It just felt like using a situation to like try and get attention, um, which is not my approach. So yeah,
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, it's a pretty powerful full song, and you did it justice, and I think that's what I love about your storytelling. And when it comes to that song, writing songs, I mean, whether it's an idea or really personal things, I know you got a couple personal cuts on the new EP as well. What's it like to one go to those places? Because like you said, you don't want it to be for the wrong reasons. You want it to be for the right reasons. But also, how's your process in general? I mean, are you taking grandma's song title ideas and seeing where you can go there?
yeah, yeah. Not I haven't yet, but um, I think it's different every time, and I think if something feels like it needs to be expressed, that's like it's a beautiful outlet. Writing a song, um, or even playing an instrument, right? Um, and so I think it depends on, your season of life and what you're going through. And then when it comes down to like the technicality of it, I think a great chords, great melody, and great lyrics, that's a song. And just like really pressing into that. And I really don't shy away from making edits. Like I'm pretty like a kind of chronic editor where it's like I'll go back and just revise and read it down and the more I write, the more I do that, you know, like especially recently, it's like it never feels done. Um, which is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but yeah, the process is different every time, but the ability to just go there where it's like, okay, just gonna sit on my couch with my guitar and I'm not gonna, go on my phone or just like being intentional with the time for yourself has been a big thing for me.
Well, I think too, you've always enjoyed writing songs too, and I read where you're a or where Tom Waits is a huge songwriting inspiration for you. What draws you to his writing, and what's it like to go down the rabbit hole of other songwriters and just kind of see how they've done things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Take It With Me was my first dance song, you know, and those songs mean so much. I think the way that he specifically can take a situation that he didn't go through. There's a song called Georgia Lee, and it's about this 11-year-old girl who was murdered, right? And it's like a proper news line, and it has nothing to do with Tom Waits, but he writes it as if, like he's the one in, the story. And I don't know, just crafting beautiful stories from your own unique perspective. I think that's a powerful thing, and something that can be appreciated across the board through all songwriters.
Well, and like I said, you got personal on a few songs on your
Hmm.
latest EP, A Crater Wide. Abielene Abielene is a song you wrote about your grandfather. I mean, what was it like to go down that and kind of do a song for him?
Yeah, I mean that song came from a place of he passed away, and we weren't all that close. He was actually adopted from Texas, and Abilene is like kind of central Texas. And I mean, when he passed, it was a situation where we knew about how old he was, but he lived in like deep South Texas, and it was like he was born without never knew his name. He was given a name, and we called, but never knew his name, never like no birth certificate. It was just a different time, and it was just like a proper reflection on what he possibly could have felt throughout his life, or what maybe my mom experienced, right, being like his child. So I tried to like step into their shoes and write from a different perspective on that one. Yeah.
Well, then one of my favorite songs on the EP is Blue Ridge Run, which is a love letter to the Appalachian landscape, which is near and dear to me. You said that came from visiting the Blue Ridge Mountains for the first time and kind of changed your relationship with nature and gave you a sense of peace and freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Like being from Tennessee, there's no real like you don't have the Rocky Mountains, right? Um, the closest thing is when you kind of go Johnson City or Chattanooga into, North Carolina and start hitting Blue Ridge, and we would go camp out there. Or as a teenager, it's like that's the first time I experienced, like freedom with no parents or whatever, where it's like I can just go out here, whether it be with friends or, by myself. And yeah, I think the reason I'm so tied to nature is it just like brings an endless kind of inspiration where it's kind of cliche, but every day is like so new and you never see the same thing twice. Which I think it like, yeah, it's just a well, yeah, a deep well to pull from.
Well, and with this EP, you went out to the legendary blasting room in Fort Collins,
Yeah.
Colorado, to
Yeah.
work on it. What was it like to do that, and also what was it like just bringing this EP to life? Because, like you said, I think this one is more of your voice, more of your reflections on a lot of things in life right now.
Yeah, I think I wanted to get out of my headspace and kind of get out of how I make music or how Nashville makes music, and I ended up driving out there with like a car full of gear, like my favorite stuff, and I ended up sleeping at that studio for a few weeks, and I think it just gave me the opportunity to kind of like throw more paint on the canvas instead of, when I would do it by myself. I found like I would edit more than I'd just like. It was just more of an editing process than an expression, and I really wanted to like challenge that approach. And I had never done anything like that. I had never worked at at a studio or had my vocals recorded at a studio. Um, yeah, it was a really cool process, and I'm so appreciative of them. So patient, those guys out there. Yeah, it was good for me. It's good for me.
Well, and I know too. You played the acoustic guitar and the mandolin on the EP as well, so you put that gear to use.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot, and too, it switches every song, but there's little piano moments, and there's all kind of things in there. But yeah, it's a cool process, and it's just kind of like filling in the gaps with what needs to be done, and then too, it's like if there's somebody out there who can play a beautiful banjo part, it's like, please play. I have no problem or reservation with talented people working with me on songs. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Well, and now, like I said, you piano, guitar, mandolin. Any other instruments you're hoping to play on a future record? I mean, do you have like a little checklist
No,
of ones you want
not
to
in
go through?
I don't know. I'm pretty like I'm into like I would never play. There's a difference between like a pedal steel and a lap steel. I don't know. A pedal steel you have like you use your knees and your feet while you use your hands, and it kind of changes notes. But the pedal steel is it's like a six string. I mean, the lap steel is just like a six stringed instrument that sits on your lap, and I think that's a really cool one. Um, I'd love to pick that one up, or just little like enough to get the ideas across on multiple instruments. I think is important.
I love that. I feel like you just love to continue to learn even more about music.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty obsessed with it. But yeah, yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And you just recently wrapped up your debut U.S. headlining 10 date tour. What was that like, especially getting to play some pretty iconic venues? I think New York, the Mercury Lounge there, up in Minneapolis, you played where Prince and others had gone through. I mean, what was that whole experience like?
I mean, it's so special to have the opportunity to play music for people at whatever capacity. And I think, I love to stay out after the shows and meet as many people as possible and just thank them for coming because it's such a, while we prepare and we, sacrifice time at home or things like that, it's like the people who show up, it's a sacrifice as well, right? And it's a lot to ask, where it's like it might take a whole night parking, buying the ticket. It's a full night, right? And for a lot of people, it's babysitter. It's like all these little things, and to be able to show up for people and just like recognize that and really give them something that hopefully means a lot to them in turn means a lot to me. So just like it's such an amazing experience, and yeah, I can't wait to go out again. I'm ready to go.
Well, and then before you did your own headlining tour, you got to tour with singer-songwriter James Bay this year.
Mhm.
What was that like? Because I'm guessing that was someone you could, if you didn't, you probably looked up to him with some of the music and just what
Yeah,
he's done.
totally. And I think it gave me a new perspective on a live show, watching that every night and the consistency there, right? And you kind of pick up on this difference between an artist and an entertainer, right? And how those two kind of like go hand in hand, and you either press into one area, press into the other. It could be song dependent too, and just all these other avenues and nuances of being on a stage. I think he's a great performer, and it gave me a lot to think about.
Well, and like I said, you then did your own tour. What's the best part for you about being on stage?
Hmm. I can genuinely say I don't think about anything else when I'm on stage but the music. Even when I'm writing music or recording music, it's kind of like the noise from the external noise of the world, I guess, is still like very present. Um, but yeah, yeah, whenever I'm up there, it's like I don't find myself thinking about anything else, which is a really, yeah, it's really good for me.
Well, and two, it's also, I mean, got to be pretty awesome to, it's one thing to write the songs, record the songs, but it's another to actually share those with people. Like you said, you got to actually be around people, talk to them afterwards. What's been the coolest part about interacting with folks? Because I'm guessing you begin to realize a lot of your songs people can see themselves in or see someone they loved in, and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's like so cool to hear how a song can individually like impact or connect with somebody, but in such a different way. Like some people it could be I was driving and heard this song and then story, right? And then some people it can be, an extremely heavy scenario, right? And I think it's such a beautiful thing because it reminds you that music serves a real purpose. And a lot of times I think that can be forgotten or looked over. Um, but then when someone goes out of their way to share that with you, something that's not easy to share, where they have to stay longer just to say something, right? It like really, I don't know, it carries a lot of weight, right? When they're able to say that. And yeah, again, it just reminds you that, okay, it's all for something.
You're doing things for the right reasons and making good music that people can connect with. And at the beginning, I asked you, what's your go-to drink? You're behaving yourself tonight. You're having tea. Getting rejuvenated,
Yeah.
rejuvenated. So now as we get toward the end, I love to ask this one because everyone's reaction is a little different.
Okay.
What's your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
Uh, that's a great question. There's one off the EP that always feels like, and I don't know if it's how the band is configured or just how it translates. That Telescope Lovers song off the new EP. I think it's just like how everything plays together, and it just feels extremely full, no matter what the configuration is. It's just a good song. I don't know. I love singing that song.
Well, that's what I love because the answers could be different because the beauty of a live show is that they can all be different and you can do a little bit of things different than the recorded version. So it's
Yeah.
like the songs almost have a new life then.
Totally, totally. And even down to things like transitions, right? It's like, how are you gonna, take it from maybe like an upbeat moment, right? Kind of back down into more of like a somber world. It's like, it really is a creative process of its own.
Well, and you just put out a Crater Wide, in October. What else? I'd say what else can folks expect this year, but by the time this drops, most people are going to be taking a holiday break. So I assume you're going to be enjoying the holidays.
Yeah.
Um, so in 2026, what can folks expect from you that you can tell us, not get yourself in trouble?
Yeah, totally. I have no timeline, but I'm really trying to focus on the principle that like album is the king, right? And if you can make music that connects with people and connects with you, everything else takes care of itself. And just not giving myself a deadline, but more just giving myself, the opportunity to um, to make something that I look back on and it was like, yeah, that was, hopefully the moment that it all kind of like took shape because of the song, because of like the time and patience with the music.
I love it. So more music, hopefully, if everything lines up. More shows for sure. And
Yeah,
if they want to find out, follow you on social media, and they'll get all the news when they need it. Right?
absolutely, absolutely.
I, I love it. I love it. Hunter, man, thank you for sharing a drink with me, your story with me, your journey with me, man, and can't wait to see what's next because you're putting out some good music, and I know good things are ahead for you, man.
Appreciate it so
Cheers.
much. Cheers, man.